Every captain of the Enterprise in Star Trek ranked worst to best. Star Trek would not be what it is without the Starship Enterprise, but a ship is little more than metal and machinery without its captain and crew. Many impressive Starfleet officers have commanded different versions of the Enterprise since the iconic starship made its debut in 1966 on Star Trek, the original series, beginning, of course, with Captain James T. Kirk William Shatner. Kirk was undoubtedly one of the best captains to command the USS Enterprise and became one of Starfleet's most well-known and decorated officers. In Star Trek: The Next Generation, Captain Jean-Luc Picard Patrick Stewart took over command of the USS Enterprise D, introducing an entirely new audience to the Star Trek franchise. Captain Jonathan Archer Scott Bakula on Star Trek Enterprise and Captain Christopher Pike Anson Mount on Star Trek Strange New Worlds also made history during their stints in command of the Enterprise. While these four captains may be the most well-known officers to have sat in the Enterprise's captain's chair, many others have commanded the iconic ship over the years. Captain John Harriman took over command of the newly christened USS Enterprise B in 2293 with Captains James T. Kirk and Montgomery Scott James Doohan and Commander Pavel Chekhov Walter Koenig on board as honored guests. Upon receiving a distress call from two transport vessels carrying El-Orient refugees, the Enterprise B was quickly pulled into an impromptu rescue mission. Captain Harriman protested that the Enterprise B was not ready for such a mission, but as it was the only ship in range, Harriman had no choice but to respond. Harriman tried several different unsuccessful methods to rescue the ships before finally asking Kirk's advice. Only 47 of the 415 El-Orient refugees survived, and Captain Kirk was lost to the Nexus realm and presumed dead. Not a great start for Captain Harriman. Following Captain Kirk's promotion to Admiral after the end of Star Trek, the original series, Captain Will Decker took over command of the refitted USS Enterprise in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Kirk had personally recommended Decker for the position, but already missed being captain of the Enterprise. When Starfleet detected the Vega probe approaching Earth, Kirk temporarily took command of the ship to investigate the powerful object. Temporarily demoted to first officer, Decker's knowledge of the newly upgraded Enterprise proved useful throughout the mission. Still, he never really got the chance to be captain, although his actions suggest he would have been a good one. At the end of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Decker merged with the Vega probe and his former lover, Lt. Ilya Persis Kambata, evolving into a new life form and vanishing to some other part of the galaxy. Captain Robert April oversaw the construction of the USS Enterprise and took command of the new Constitution-class starship in 2245. Although Star Trek has not revealed much about April's time in command of the Enterprise, he eventually became one of the most decorated officers in Starfleet history. April chose Christopher Pike as his first officer, and the two remained friends after April was promoted. The captain's chair aboard the USS Enterprise isn't just a piece of furniture, it's a symbol of leadership, courage, and often philosophical debate in the face of interstellar chaos. Over the decades, several captains have taken the helm of various incarnations of the Enterprise, each leaving their distinct mark on the galaxy and on fans. But in the vast cosmos of Starfleet legends, who truly stands tallest? Here's every captain of the Enterprise ranked from worst to best. 8. Captain Edward Jellicoe Enterprise D. Briefly, yes, technically Jellicoe wasn't the full-time captain, but his time in command during Chain of Command earns him a spot. Efficient to a fault and emotionally tone-deaf, Jellicoe disrupted the crew's rhythm like a bad jazz solo. While he outmaneuvered the Cardassians, his cold, bureaucratic demeanor alienated fans and officers alike, especially poor Riker. Competent, sure, but charisma is key in the big chair. 7. Captain Robert April Enterprise NCC 1701. Often relegated to the Star Trek trivia tier, April was the first captain of the original Enterprise in canon. His presence was more felt in lore than screen time, though Star Trek: Strange New Worlds has recently revived interest. April set the foundation, but with so little to go on, he remains an enigma, a footnote in the epic saga rather than a leading verse. 6. Captain Rachel Garrett Enterprise C. Rachel Garrett had only one real moment to shine in yesterday's Enterprise, but what a moment it was. She died defending a Klingon outpost from a Romulan attack, preserving the fragile Federation-Klingon alliance. Brave and duty-bound, Garrett made the ultimate sacrifice, though we never got to see her command in peacetime. Her legacy is felt more than her leadership is seen. 5. Captain Jonathan Archer, Enterprise NX-1. Captain of the first Warp 5 ship, Archer was Starfleet's trailblazer, bold, brash, and often learning the ropes on the fly. As the galaxy's first interstellar diplomat with a ship to back him, Archer laid the groundwork for the United Federation of Planets. He was a man out of time, sometimes too hot-headed for the job, but his growth and moral compass guided humanity through its galactic adolescence. 4. Captain Christopher Pike, Enterprise NCC-1701. Pike is the captain many forgot until Strange New Worlds gave him his due. Portrayed with grace and gravity by Anson Mount, Pike combines Kirk's boldness with Picard's empathy. Burdened with knowledge of his tragic fate, he still leads with optimism and integrity. Pike is the archetype of the noble Starfleet leader, the man who sets the standard before legends rise. 3. Captain James T. Kirk, Enterprise NCC-1701 and NCC-1701A. Kirk is Star Trek, the man who fought Gorn with his fists, outwitted computers with philosophy, and broke the Prime Directive on Tuesdays for breakfast. Charismatic and fearless, he was the quintessential action hero of his time, yet still thoughtful and loyal. Kirk's impact on pop culture is undeniable, but his swagger sometimes came at the cost of subtlety. A legend, yes, but not the most well-rounded. 2. Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Enterprise D&E. Picard didn't just sit in the captain's chair, he owned it. A philosopher king in a Starfleet uniform, he turned diplomacy into an art and moral clarity into a battle cry. Whether facing down the Borg, Q, or the internal struggles of his crew, Picard inspired not just his officers, but an entire generation of viewers. Calm, cerebral, and compassionate, he's the leader you'd want negotiating your peace treaty and giving your eulogy. 1. Captain Benjamin Sisko technically commanded the Defiant, later USS Enterprise E in alternate timelines. Okay, hear us out. Sisko never officially commanded the Enterprise, but in the Mirror Universe and several extended universes, he does. More importantly, he embodied what the spirit of the Enterprise is all about: evolution, sacrifice, and moral struggle in a complex galaxy. But if we must stay purist. 1. For real, Captain Spock, Enterprise NCC-1701. Surprised? You shouldn't be. Spock briefly captained the Enterprise and left an indelible mark with far-reaching impact. Whether in the movies as Ambassador or alternate timelines Kelvin or Discovery, Spock showed leadership that fused logic with compassion. He never craved command, but when he held it, he redefined it. The ultimate blend of science and soul, Spock's tenure might have been brief, but his influence? Eternal. Final thoughts. Ranking the captains of the Enterprise is like choosing between stars in a constellation. They all shine in their own way. From pioneers to philosophers, warriors to diplomats, these captains define Starfleet's core values in different eras and styles. In the end, it's not the size of the ship, the speed of the warp core, or the shape of the nacelles. It's the heart of the one sitting in that chair. And that chair, across time and space, has never lacked a worthy occupant. Let me know if you'd like this tailored more toward humor and universe analysis, or if you want to include non-canon captains too.